Today's episode of Armchair Ninja Podcast is brought to you by NinjaWarriorBlueprints.com. Get detailed and easy-to-read instructions on how to build your own affordable backyard gym, including the salmon ladder, cliffhanger, and rumbling dice at NinjaWarriorBlueprints.com. Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Thursday, July 14th, 2016. My name is Rich, and with me once again is Bijan. How you making out?
Doing good, man. We're finally here in the finals. I'm so excited.
Yes, It's the episode you were there, and as you can hear, we have Jessie Graff with us as well. How you making out, Jess?
I'm bouncing. No, I'm not. I'm sitting still. I'm sitting very still.
Jessie can't even stop exercising long enough to record. She's so excited.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on, Jessie. As you know, we've been shouting your praises forever now, so it's pretty cool to talk to you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. What are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to recap the LA Finals. We're also going to go over Crashing the Course and 24 Before, which was Grant McCartney this week, which was really entertaining, as you'd imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty legit.
And we have some questions and topics that some listeners have sent in, so we're going to have lots to talk about. We'll try to keep it reasonable in length, but I know we're going to be a little long today.
Man, we got to go through this because we have so many topics and questions. Jessie, you are quite popular online. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah.
It's been kind of overwhelming. There's so much stuff coming in, and I try to read it all and respond to stuff, and it's a lot, but it's so much fun, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, just before we get into it, actually, what's like the past 24 hours been for you? Because, you know, like this has been, just so people know, we're recording right after, a day after the it aired for the LA Finals. And I'm just really curious, like, how many people have just been, like, losing their minds about your whole run?
The response has been pretty overwhelming. Like, it's all kind of piled up, and so I deal with it in chunks. You know, I'll sit down and look at a whole bunch of tweets and, you know, answer the ones that are particularly insightful or have a story. And then, you know, if it's a quick congratulations or something, then I'll like it if I can. But it's all piled up. And so, you know, I do a little bit and then go run around and then do a little bit more and then do a set of pull-ups. So it's good for breaking up my sets.
I feel you.
Yeah, so what was the atmosphere like there that night when, you know, like, how do I even describe this? Because it was such a crazy thing.
On set?
Because on set, yeah. So, I mean, both you were there in different perspectives, obviously, but for you, were you just watching people come up? And you never wish ill will anybody where you're like, I want to stay on top. I don't want anybody to be I want to be at the very top at the end.
Honestly, not at all. When I saw the layout of the course and how jarring and jerky, like the salmon ladder zaps my grip pretty well so that I'm more tired after it than I would be after something of similar length that's grip strength. And so when I saw that it wasn't just the salmon ladder, it was also the ring jump and then another dynamic one plus the I-beam crossing, I just was like, all right, well, I thought I was going to finish a finals course, but this is ridiculous. And so I accepted that it was not going to be as good of a year as I had hoped. And I knew that I was going to get beaten by a lot of people. I mean, there's so many people that are stronger than me that I had no expectation of finishing as well as I did. And so seeing person after person fail the wedge was just, it kind of blew me away. Because it's just a finicky obstacle. It's not that a lot of people did fall because they were pumped out at that point. It is a very pumpy course, but a lot of people also, if you're a little tiny bit crooked, you're going to slip and fall. And so it was more shocking and heartbreaking for each individual that went down. And then just even more shocking at the end to see where I placed and where I was standing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember just the feel of the crowd and everything that night. It was really interesting because, first of all, you, Jesse, Kevin Bull, and Flip Rodriguez were the clear top favorites, right? Everybody knew you guys and were really rooting for you guys. And that's not really shocking to a lot of people, probably. But the big thing, though, is when you went up to run, that was the point where everybody really had hope, because it was quite demoralizing throughout most of the night seeing everybody fail on that wedge. And a lot of people were thinking, this is the chance. This is a chance where we see somebody get past this obstacle. And I think it was so just a breath of fresh air for everybody when you were actually able to complete it. And that's why I really like these types of obstacles, like the wedge, where it's an obstacle that is so incredibly difficult, where everybody feels like it's almost impossible, but yet there's that one person that just shows you can do it. And then it just makes it just that much more of a big deal.
I don't know. I was so shocked when I actually landed on the pad.
I'm sure.
I knew it was possible by people. I knew that there were a lot of people there who were strong enough to do it. I just didn't think I was one of them. And so every single hop was like full concentration until all of a sudden I was on the landing pad and it was over.
Well, let's get into, I think, one of the biggest topics that we can have tonight before we even go into the recap, because it's going to play very much the main part of the recap, which is the wedge obstacle itself, right? It was kind of like the story of the entire episode. And for me, a lot of the feedback that I was getting was a lot of people wondering how difficult it was and what is the secret to it. Now, I have my theories, but before I even get into that, I mean, you were there, you did it. So do you think you did anything different from everybody else? Because for me, there was one glaring thing that you did differently, and that I saw everybody that was able to complete it do.
Mm-hmm. What'd you see?
That was the switch grip.
Yep.
I don't know if that was that's it. Okay, because that for me played the biggest part. I saw it like rolling out from everybody's hands, and I'm like, do the switch grip, right? And
well, here's the thing about the mixed grip.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started learning salmon ladder, I couldn't hold on and I couldn't do a single rung with both hands facing forward because the bar spins out of your grip, and I hadn't developed that grip strength yet. And so I found that if I had one hand forward and one hand backwards, it didn't want to spin. It keeps it balanced, but it would go crooked. And so because that's the only way I could do it, I trained that way, and I got used to having one hand backwards and automatically adjusting for that twist. Mm-hmm. So most people who are strong enough to do it with both hands forward, if they try mixed grip, they're like, oh, this makes me go crooked. I'm going to keep doing it the regular way. Whereas I only had one option. And because I've always done it with a mixed grip, I just got used to that. And so I always keep it straight. I probably have a muscle imbalance, honestly, that makes me stay straight when my hands are crooked. But I think there were people who tried a mixed grip because they had the same theory, but they'd never done it that way before. And you can't go a little bit crooked on the wedge. If you get one hand farther forward than the other, you're down like that. And so people who kept both hands forward had a hard time swinging off of it at the end, and people who tried the mixed grip for the first time went crooked and fell even earlier. So I had a huge advantage going into that obstacle in that that's just how I always practiced it.
Yeah, that's like a really good point, because that type of obstacle accentuates so much the precision that you need. I really, really appreciated that with this particular obstacle, watching it. But I'm curious, Rich, from just a viewer's perspective, and everything just completely hands off, how did you feel about the wedge? Did you find it cheap? Did you really find it engrossing? How'd you feel?
I liked it. It was more, obviously it was a Ninja Killer, but it was more Cannonball Alley, less...
Hourglass drop.
Yeah.
Hourglass drop, yeah.
I don't know if you know, but I hate that obstacle so much.
I think it's one of my favorites, in a way. Only because it defeated me the first night, and I got to figure it out and come back and conquer it.
Gotcha.
You were the only person that almost saves that obstacle, because one of the things I did like about it is your description of figuring it out, and watching you actually pull yourself up higher so you get more of a bounce off of it, and seeing that process. Basically, how do you conquer an obstacle that looks impossible? Well, there's how you do it. You look at it, you figure out what went wrong, and you adjust. So it was really good from that perspective.
Yeah, that's one of the most valuable lessons that I got from my college pole vault coach, Rick Addig. He always said that you have to take responsibility for anything that goes wrong in your athletic performance, or you have no control to stop it in the future. So, in a pole vault meet, if I have a huge headwind, so I'm running slower and I'm not getting into the pit and I miss because of this headwind, if I'm blaming the weather, I'm vulnerable to every time the weather goes down. Whereas if I just phrase it as, I didn't train enough with a headwind and I didn't know how to prepare for it, I'm taking responsibility and I know what action to change in the future. And so I try to apply that to every mistake I make. If I want to improve, I have to take responsibility and learn from it.
Good point.
That's a really good point. I actually want to talk about some of the other obstacles because while we have covered them before, there were some changes to them, right? We had a longer gap and no cargo net for the TikTok.
Wasn't that awesome, man? Oh my God, I loved, this is the thing I like about what they're doing this year. They're making these small little adjustments that make all the difference. Like we saw it all episode, how it was tripping up a lot of the runners. I love that.
Yeah, we had, we'll get into the specifics of the runs, but I thought that was a good change. Actually, this whole course, like both qualifier and finals, is almost a perfect course. It has everything right about it. It has the right balance of skills. It has... they were able to ramp up the difficulty with some small changes, and I really liked it.
Yeah, it was a very fun one. It combined so many different skills into each obstacle. The timing, the pendulums, the explosiveness, and it was a lot of interesting things to work out. There was a lot to analyze.
Yeah. I felt bad for all you guys running it, though, because, my arms hurt watching you guys do that course. That was a pretty brutal one.
Getting away from the arms for a second, though, the escalator, which didn't really play much of a part, or not that we saw anyway, in the qualifier, now looked to be extremely difficult by taking that one step out.
It was definitely different. It was still the same approach in that you have to go in with full speed. You want to be in the same position over each step with your weight slightly ahead of it, but just moving as fast as you can, keeping your knees high. But it's one of those obstacles where you have to attack it full speed and hope it behaves the way you expect it to, because there's no way to feel it out or test it as you go. And those are the scariest ones, I think. But luckily, it worked the way I expected it to, and I landed and felt great about it. But it's just the difference in doing it correctly and incorrectly is so subtle, and what works perfectly for something that's very similar might completely backfire, and it's very difficult to tell what adjustments to make. And you don't get a second chance to make adjustments. It either works or it doesn't. So it's one of those terrifying things that happened to work out for me this time, and I don't even know how you prepare for those things.
Just kind of run on instinct, I take it.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be tons of different drills and parkour type things that you can practice so that you get used to adjusting to that kind of thing. And what I try to play is, if I go to a local competition and they allow you to practice on obstacles before the run, even if that would give me an advantage in that individual competition, my ultimate goal is performing well on the show under pressure, and so I'll sometimes try to not practice on those things so that I have to do it on the first try. I have to analyze it from watching other people and then do it right on the first try in the competition, because that's one of the most important skills on the show that people overlook. We focus on speed, strength, explosiveness, grip strength, and we forget about the little things like what time of night you're running and how unexpected things can be. They're going to switch up the order, and you don't know if you're going before lunch or after lunch, and the lights and the pressure, and it's just, you have to prepare for that too.
Yeah, good point. I never really thought about the whole timing aspect, but actually that's got to play a major part because for people that don't know, there is like multiple hours difference between the first runner and the last runner. And I have to imagine you're usually at the very end. So are you quite tired at that point?
I'm lucky in that this is a very normal setup for my job. So my first year on Ninja Warrior season 5, I competed at 6:30 in the morning. So I was waiting from 10 p.m. till 6 in the morning, not sure if I was going to get a turn before sunrise. And then season 7, I was closer to the beginning. I was probably number 25, so I might have been at 10 p.m. And this year I think I was usually closer to midnight or 1. But it's exactly like what happens at work. You show up at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. and you may be the first up. You may be waiting for 12 hours and then like someone says, time to go home. Oh, wait, never mind. You're going to go get hit by a car right now. It's like you have to be ready to warm up in 30 seconds while you're getting dressed or someone's fixing your hair or like adjusting the makeup. And you have very little time to mentally prepare. And so I'm used to that kind of system of getting myself mentally ready very quickly and turning on the adrenaline at whatever uncomfortable time of the morning it is. Because when cameras are rolling, you get one shot, and if you mess up, you could get hurt. So the pressure is pretty high.
I was just thinking when you said that, like, your conversations at home must be so wild. Like, oh, what'd you do today, honey? Like, just got hit by a car, just jumped off a cliff. It's like, what?
Yeah. and it's normal to everyone in my house. I have 4 roommates. One's in the circus, one's a massage therapist that does wushu, and all kinds of martial arts and calisthenic stuff, and one's an actor, but he's like an action actor and does all kind of fights. So everyone's just has really wacky lives and crazy stories. It's always entertaining.
Your house must be insane.
I love my house. I love my roommates. And the pig, of course.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Sammo. He's awesome.
Sammo Hogg. She's actually a girl.
Oh, my God. That's a girl? This whole time I thought it was a boy.
Yeah, but she's not offended. She's a pig.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sammo.
She doesn't mind.
And she's your workout partner from what I've seen, too.
She's been helping me. She's a pretty good weight when I'm doing pull-ups. She also likes sitting in my lap when I'm doing anything on the bench press stuff. But the thing she's most helpful with is I'm not good at taking rest days or sitting still. And once she sits in my lap, I'm a little bit more motivated to take a little bit of downtime. So she's been very helpful. I think that's actually helped me perform better this year, remembering to take rest.
It's hilarious to me that you need motivation to rest. Like, everybody else is trying to motivate themselves to get up and move and do more, and you just need motivation to actually stop.
It's true. I love endorphins, and I love how I feel when I'm active and accomplishing things. And I love those motivational quotes and things that everyone uses to motivate themselves. And it's really hard to listen to them sometimes and be like, you don't get to work out right now. You have to stay still. It's really hard. But, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually kind of from the opposite perspective, kind of like you, where it's like I'm training for a Spartan Beast right now, and all I could do is think about working out all day. So I feel your pain there, but we got to rest ourselves,
Yeah. If I always have to think of it as if I want to get better, I have to have the discipline to work out when I need to and rest when I need to. And some parts are harder than others, but if I'm disciplined, I'll do the right thing. Gotcha.
So, you guys want to get into this recap? Because I don't want to be here. We don't want to keep you too bad, Jesse.
Yeah. So getting into it, the very first runner we had of the night was Ben Antoine, a Boeing service engineer. He's into breakdancing, martial arts. And I had a feeling, right, when you get one of those first runs, you thought, okay, so they made all these changes to the obstacles. Which one is going to trip him up? And it was the escalator for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I really liked his story, though. It was a really cool, inspiring story. But, I really liked the fact that his run kind of accentuated the fact that it's not just the new obstacles that are going to get you, trip you up, right? It's also the older obstacles that we've seen before. They've made slight adjustments, and it kind of proved that fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he demonstrated that really well. But there's not a lot to say about that, and I'm really anxious to get to the next guy because we were really hoping to see more of him this season, and we did get to see Alan Keneally.
Dude,
Alan cracks me up. Did you guys watch all his dance moves?
Yeah, I liked what we saw of his submission video was great.
He's just hilarious. Have you also seen his music videos?
He has music videos?
You need to watch them.
Oh my god.
He rewrites the lyrics to different songs. He's done a Little Mermaid one and a Beauty and the Beast one, and they're usually ninja related, and they're amazing.
Are these on YouTube or anything?
I think they're on YouTube. I think he has a YouTube channel. Yeah, if you just look up Alan Keneally on YouTube. One is called Waiting for the Call. And I forget what the other one's called, but it's a Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, this is happening. We're gonna link it into the show notes, definitely. Like Rich, I'm sure is already on that. Like,
yeah,
that is awesome.
We are definitely finding that, and we will be featuring those over the next few months, by the sounds of it. Yeah, I'm a little mad at Alan though. Bijan probably knows why I'm mad at Alan.
Why?
What did he do? What did he do? What do you think probably set me off when I watched this? He waxed. How could he wax? How could he do that?
I was so confused of where you're going with that. I'm like, what?
For the joke,
Alan,
you know?
Oh, come on. Alan is like the only hairy guy in the whole show. He can't do that.
I think it's all back, though, isn't it?
Oh, probably.
I'm pretty sure.
You can't get rid of that.
Yeah, that back hair is pretty legit.
Yeah, he was telling me that he just needs to work on his rock climbing and using his legs more, because I think he was just using all fingers. And after the ring jump, your fingers are a little bit compromised. So
yeah, that's pretty brutal for a bigger guy too, right? Like,
oh my gosh, have you guys tried doing weighted pull-ups? Because I have not gotten up to 200 pounds on my weighted pull-ups.
200?
I mean, he's 200 pounds. Like I could not move through a ninja course if I were.
Gotcha. Okay. And for a second there, I'm like, no, I'm not doing 200 pounds. Yeah.
It makes a difference. It's really impressive to see him move the way he does, especially knowing how much weight he's carrying.
Oh yeah, I think it was accentuated more for when we saw him on Team Ninja Warrior. That guy was a beast on that show.
He moves so smoothly for somebody that size, though.
He's amazing. Yeah, he moves like a really small, agile guy, and is just packed with muscle. It's very impressive.
But it did trip him up in the end. You know, I like that they showed his knuckles. You could see him like white knuckling it by the end of it, trying to muscle through. It just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, but I think if he figures out how to use his feet and his knees more on the I-beam crossing, I'm sure he can get through it.
Yeah, an obstacle like that is going to be all technique
and grip strength.
Well, yeah.
So after Alan, we had Scott Wilson. He was the chess ninja, which was a really surprising thing to see. He's a chess instructor for K-6.
Yep, he's also a gamer and very funny. And he just made a great video doing snow angels in the chalk.
In the chalk?
Yeah, he brought an entire bag of chalk to Arnold's house, dumped it all over the ground just to make snow angels. It was pretty entertaining. He's a character. Okay. He's really fun to work out with. And strong and talented.
I was about to say, the first thing you see on this guy is just his body. Like, I'm like, this guy must have, like, just 5% body fat.
He made a long dismount from the ring jump. Did you... I was a little confused because in the qualifiers, when people were going backwards, Akbar was criticizing them, and now he's saying that was a smart move. That's a good way to go. So I don't know if somebody talked to him between night 1 and 2 or what, but it was a funny switch.
Was it? I thought he always said backwards was the way to go, but through the first night of qualifiers, almost everyone was going forwards. Like, they were turning around and going feet first. And I don't know, it seemed like it was working. There's advantages to both ways. And it's just more of the people that they showed on the episode who fell, I think, were going feet first. But when you have the grip strength that Josh has, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I remember we were kind of criticizing Akbar on that episode. We don't really criticize him much, but we were like, why is he saying that? Because, both techniques actually work. It just depends on how comfortable you are on that dismount. So that was interesting.
I think going feet first, you have the advantage of you can reach farther with your hands. You can cut some of the distance off at the beginning of like going from that vertical transition to back horizontal and down the slope. You can cut off some of the distance that way, and then you also have your feet lower than your hands, and most people are more comfortable that way. But then when you get to the end, you have to do a forward swing back and kip off of the end, whereas if you go backwards, you can swing straight off of it. So you have to think about which way is going to work better for you, and hopefully you can predict that well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he ended up going out on the salmon ladder. I'm going to guess he just probably tapped himself out from the rest of the course.
I don't know. I mean, everyone was more pumped than they expected to be at the salmon ladder. It's just, I think that ring jump took a lot more out of people than they expected. But at the same time, you have to remember that every salmon ladder is different. It's a finicky obstacle. And I still do it slowly because I can do it about twice the speed that I did it on the show. But when I go full speed, I fall half the time. It's very difficult to be consistent on it. And you see so many top competitors just go a little crooked, or even if they're too powerful, they'll bounce out of the rung. And once you fall, you're out. So I would assume that he just tripped on it,
Mm-hmm. But, we keep bringing up the ring obstacle, and I'm curious because they said they added more weight to the rings. Was there a noticeable difference between the first night and the second night?
I didn't notice much difference.
Gotcha.
But I also used a very different technique on the second night. I kind of figured out what I wanted to do and got through it in probably half the time.
Yeah.
That made a bigger difference to me than the weight.
Yeah. I like the fact that, a lot of the ninjas, or athletes, they kind of learn from the first night and, switch up their tactics. I really like that.
Yeah, that's the ninja part, adapting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice because we don't get that in Vegas, right? You get one shot. So having the multiple nights gives a little bit of a retry for everyone.
Well, as long as you don't mess up too much.
Exactly.
If you do something mostly well, it gives you a chance to do it better. But there's still, if you make too much of a slip up, then everything's over that quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And next was probably one of the most gut-wrenching moments of the night. Natalie Duran ended up going out in the TikTok. I did not see that coming at all.
I did not either.
Yeah, I really like Natalie Duran, too. I'm really high up on her. I think she is kind of slept on of how incredibly athletic and talented she is. I'm expecting a lot from her. I really hope she gets a wild card spot. Don't spoil it, Jessie, because I know you know.
How would I know that?
Yeah, I should. But, I expect big things from her, and coming up, I should say. So it really took a lot out of me watching that because these are the type of runs. It reminds me of the kinds of runs that we talked about, Rich, where some people just kind of tap the water at the very end of an obstacle, where it's hard to watch because you just know they have so much more to show.
Yeah. That's the heartbreaking thing about watching the show is that most people don't get to that point where they're falling because they're pumped out. They're falling because they didn't see some little detail of the obstacle. They tripped on something small and they're out before they know it.
Yeah. It makes for good shocking moments, I guess, though.
Yeah, you can never assume anything, right? Everybody can have those moments. Next up on the course, we had Adam Rail, a concrete barber, which is a really funny job title, who makes tabletops. Sat in the walk-on line for 2.5 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. How does anybody do that? I don't understand.
I don't know. I have not done it. It seems like a very mixed experience. Like, if you didn't have to compete immediately after, I think it could be a really cool thing. I've heard stories about the bonding that takes place between competitors in the walk-on line, and there seems to be more flexibility this year in that there's a time that you sign in, and then the whole group will like go to different nearby ninja gyms and train together. And it sounds like it can be a really cool experience, but at the same time, you're camping out in a tent. You're not getting a lot of sleep, and doing that for 2 weeks leading into, you know, the biggest competition of the year, if this is your main sport, that's going to zap you like crazy. I can't imagine having to perform at peak performance with that.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, if you're not chosen, that's got to be so heartbreaking, right?
Oh, I got a great story about Jessie. What's his last? Cargill. Because he competed in the LA finals this year. But so last year, Tom Hutchman was telling me this. They were walk-ons together, season 7, and Jessie was there, and he didn't have a tent, and so like he was camping out with just a sleeping bag in sort of the porch area of Tom's tent, and waited, you know, for a week or two there, and was like the last person in line who was supposed to be next up to run the course, season 7, and they cut it off there, and he didn't get to go.
Oh man.
And after all that, he came back this year, was a walk-on again, got to be number 8, ran the course, crushed it in qualifiers, and then did awesome in finals too. And it's really cool to hear such a strong comeback story after so much hard work and time put in.
Man, that's like, those are the stories that I like hearing, right? Like, I wish they featured more of those types of stories on the show. I always talk about the fact that sometimes they ham up too much of the sob stories, and I don't mind them too much, but you can't spend like 10 minutes on one particular story to watch somebody fail, like, you know, 3 obstacles in. And I wish they mixed it up a little bit more with those types of stories. That's a cool story. Like, that's a really good comeback story.
Mm-hmm. You know what I would love to see? Because I know they have limited time and they have their favorite stories that they're going to do, and everyone's going to have different favorite stories, but I would love to see the stock footage that they get, because they interview everyone and they have it all piled up and some of it doesn't get used, but I would love to see full edited runs with commentary and like snippets from the interviews on YouTube. Because that doesn't take away from the airtime, but the big fans who want to see more of it can go watch individual runs of the people who didn't get as much airtime on the show.
You know, that's been actually a contentious point that a lot of people have been talking about, in particular this season, and I know know what I'm talking about, Rich, where there have been competitors that don't even get, like, fast-forwarded. They're just not even shown on the show. And like, yeah, and there's so many fans that are like, hey, can you at least post it on YouTube or something? Like, we want to see these people run, but we don't get anything. So I really hope they listen to fan feedback this season, and for next season at least, like, start posting these runs up on YouTube. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. I don't know why they're not doing that.
I wonder if we made a petition, or maybe if they have to have a motivation to do it too. Do they have pay-per-view on YouTube, or they get ad time and everything, but what are we going to offer if that's what we want?
We want them, all they have to do, we'll do all the heavy lifting, right? They send us the raw footage, Bijan and I will cut commentary for it, and we'll put it all together. Like, they won't have to do anything.
Nobody wants that.
I'll pitch it to them. I'll see what they say.
There you go.
Oh man. Yeah, that'll be something.
Keep in mind, I have no actual power. I'll pitch it. They might laugh at me, but maybe it'll work.
Okay, so getting back to Adam Rail, who we were last talking about, he ended up being one of the first ones out on the wedge, which took out, well, pretty much all of the field except for you and
Josh.
You and Josh, yeah. Like, that was a little crazy. We had some of the biggest names, too. We had Nicholas Coolidge, Grant McCartney. It just seemed like it took out everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. I mean, we got into it earlier in terms of the technique and everything, but I really like just the visual aspect of how this show presented it as such a daunting obstacle, right? Like, they really played up how difficult it was, and I appreciated that. And I really like the fact that, you know, it became such a big deal when Jess and Josh was able to do it. Yeah, like that was a big deal, and it was really cool. Especially, like, I know it sounds like we're hamming it up because you're on the podcast, Jess, but it was a huge deal when you were able to do it. Like, how cool was that watching it, Rich?
It was amazing. I was jumping on my seat. I almost recorded myself. I thought, it'd be kind of funny to record myself watching the show. And of course, that moment was when I was, jumping up and down and acting like a fool. So it would have been good to get, I think. But unfortunately, I didn't.
I was really entertained when I watched it again on Esquire the other night. If you look close at my face while I'm doing the wedge versus right after, I look so serious on the wedge and like terrified.
I can imagine.
And then I'm just like exhilarated.
Yeah, that's got to be such a great feeling, right? Like, not only did you do it, you were the first one to do it. That is amazing.
It was, I just was so sure that obstacle was not going to work for me. And then, I think I've said this a million times, just flying through the air and realizing that I had to dismount and I was going to land where I wanted to land. It was just, what is happening?
Yeah, I remember seeing your face when you landed, and you were just like, I think you were as stunned as everybody else watching it, right?
Oh, absolutely. More stunned, because people kept telling me, like, that I was going to finish this course, and I was like, I don't know if you've seen what's on this course. I feel like you're confused. But, yeah, I always say I never let my own perception of what's possible or impossible limit how I'm going to attack the course.
Man.
How hard I'm going to try. I don't really care if it's impossible. The focus is how would you do it if it were possible? And proceed with that plan.
Put that on a poster.
Okay. Let's do it.
We got to see the next obstacle. I was actually surprised. I miscounted or just had seen so many people fall. I thought, oh no, the helix hang. I totally forgot about that one. What did you think of that obstacle?
It was trickier than it looked. I went into it, I think I did a replica of that obstacle at GCA in Connecticut. And the rungs were closer together, and the angle was smaller, so it was a much smoother transition from one to the next, and it was just straightforward. It was, if your grip is not completely pumped out, you will make it, and if it is pumped out, you will slip. And I just didn't realize that I was going to have such a long reach between each one, and it rotates so much. It's not just a slight rotation, so it's a bigger transfer. And so each move drained me more than I expected and took longer than I expected. So, and then the other thing that I didn't think about at all is each move I tried to make as efficiently as possible and moved whatever direction felt most natural. And all of a sudden, when I knew that I couldn't make any more moves, I looked around and realized I was backwards. And it was just something I had not thought about. I just moved where it felt natural because, and I always say this, the obstacle that looks straightforward to you that you don't plan out is the one you're going to fall on, because no obstacles on Ninja Warrior are straightforward.
Yeah,
they just never are. If you know you've got it down and you don't have to think about it, you're missing something. And that's what happened with me last year on the clear climb. That's what happened on the double helix. I mean, honestly, I was so pumped out that I don't know if I could have made it if I had planned it a little bit more. But I feel like if I'd been facing forward, moved a little bit faster, and just got that one last transfer that I slipped on, just one move closer, I think I could have swung for the dismount, and it still would have been close.
It was close, though. Like you were fairly close, but I think that particular obstacle was so deceptively difficult. I think the true story to it was, as you said, the distance between the pegs. Because when we saw you do it, you had to like completely boost up your entire body and then just completely spread out your other arm to grab the other one. And that's got to just take a huge toll on your grip strength in your arms, right?
Yeah, if you think about, like, I can do a lock off for a good 30 seconds on one arm if I'm tucked in super tight to my chest, because that's where I'm strongest. But if you're reaching out and your arm is halfway extended or open more than 90 degrees, you're a lot weaker there, so everything's going to get zapped faster. Oh, thank you, Samo. Samo. Good job. Bye, Samo. Go play.
Samo's like, I'm the star of this podcast.
Yeah, Samo's used to getting a lot of attention.
Oh, we love Samo.
Yeah, as do I. Yeah, I think if I had known what it felt like going in, and if I was fresh, I mean, it's a totally different obstacle. I'm pretty sure I could go back and forth on it once or twice if I got to it fresh. But obviously, I was not fresh there.
I was honestly just amazed of how long you were able to stay on that particular obstacle, because it's one thing to like continue moving forward and going fast, right? But the amount of time you spent like just standing on it, it really showed your commitment to it. And that's the type of stuff that I like, is when I always say on this podcast, it's not necessarily about who finishes and who wins. It's more about the journey involved in it. That's the stuff that I find really compelling. My favorite moment from last season wasn't even Jeff Britton or Isaac Caldiero finishing. It was actually Jeff Britton doing that final rung of the third stage.
Oh my gosh, I love that one.
Right? Like, that's the stuff that I care about. And I found your commitment not only during the wedge, but also the double helix. That was really really cool to watch from my point of view, because you just felt the pain involved of what you were seeing in your face. So that was really cool.
Thank you. I learned a while ago that I improve a lot faster, not when I set a number for myself to do, but when I aim for that burnout zone of going to failure, of feeling the muscle just trembling. It's trying so hard to hold on, and then losing it, like slowly dropping and fighting it the whole way. But that point where your muscle is trembling like that is where I feel like I'm gaining the most strength. And so instead of saying I'm going to do 10 pull-ups, I say I'm going to do pull-ups until I get that feeling. And so I'm very comfortable in that range of, I know my body's about to give out, but let's see how long I can keep holding on.
Right? Yeah, I feel you there.
It's so satisfying being in that zone, because every extra second you hold on, you're getting stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the important part, It's always finding that just breaking point, in particular with these types of obstacles in training, right? Because, you have to prepare for just going that extra mile. But I was actually interested, Rich, did you watch this with your family? Like, what was their reaction to seeing Jessie's run?
I watched this episode all alone, unfortunately.
Oh, man. I'm really curious because, your daughters, I know, are big fans of all the women on the show. I'm sure they're fans of Jessie, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But no, I haven't had a chance to talk to them about it yet to see what they thought of it. They weren't at home, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Well, you can let them know that you talked to Jessie at one point. They'll probably lose their mind and everything. Yeah.
Oh, they were pretty excited in Philly. Yeah, they were in Philly with me, and when I said that I had met up with you, I should have brought them over to meet you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had them tucked up in the crowd, and I was worried they were going to lose their seats because anyway, it was a whole big thing. It was an interesting night.
I always hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because, Jessie, do you realize that, Bijan and I have never met in person?
No, I didn't know that.
And the only person we've both ever met in person is you. You're the only person that's ever met both of us.
Wow. Well, I feel special.
Nothing.
I just thought it was funny when I realized that. I actually want to back up to one of the other stories. We've got so many people to go through.
Yeah.
Do it.
Brian Kretsch, like that was so heart-wrenching to see him
terrifying.
Oh, that too. Yeah, when he hit the last escalator thing, and he thought, "Oh God, he didn't hurt his leg." And even Akbar kind of calls it out, thinking that something had happened.
Yeah.
But
he broke that peg, right? Like they
no.
Like if you remember, Jessie, like they had to spend like a good 10-15 minutes repairing that last peg after he landed on that thing.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
He hit it with so much force.
He hit that thing hard.
I didn't see it on the night when it happened, but watching it.
Yeah, it happened right in front of me. He landed on that thing, and I remember a lot of people were worried that he might have hurt himself. And it was interesting because the crowd didn't even know about that story, right? Unless you knew about who he was. But he landed with so much force on that a lot of people were worried. And afterwards, the the people, like the side crew, they had to repair pretty much that entire thing. I think they replaced it. I don't remember, but they spent a long time working on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to him about that afterwards because, you know, we've both been through major knee injuries and recoveries, and it's like you have to reteach the leg how to function again. And even after the muscle comes back, it's almost like the muscles have PTSD, you know, when you're doing explosive stuff, or like if I step in a pothole or something, like when I'm being smart and running in the dark, like I was doing tonight, if I step on a lump or something, I feel like a shock of, it almost just feels like fear shooting through my knee and the muscles attached to it of my body just reacting in a panic, like, don't do it again, you know?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It takes so much training with proprioception and getting the muscles used to being in these high impact, unpredictable situations again. And there's so much prep, and ninja stuff is so unpredictable. Things are going to go in weird directions. And yeah, he was talking about how just there's hesitation, like things that he used to do explosively and confidently, and he takes for granted, he'll start running through it and have that moment of, am I skipping a step, or just because your legs aren't used to it again. And, but you know, I think he was saying he learned from the experience, and he knows what kind of drills he has to do to get back to where he was and be stronger than ever, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja Warrior is mostly mental. I mean, there's a physical aspect to it, but at the end of the day, you need to know what you're doing, and also just commit to what you're doing, right? With your body and just everything you're doing. Yeah, I really liked his run, but I just want to get into, for me, the most compelling story of the entire night. That, for me, it just really hit onto me a lot, which was Flip Rodriguez's story and everything.
Oh my gosh.
That really broke my heart, and it was interesting because Flip is one of these people that, for me as a fan that watching from day one, I always followed his story, and I knew about the family drama and everything, but I never knew how serious it actually was, right? And man, that really broke my heart. I think it's just from the fact that I feel like a lot of fans of the show feel like they know Flip, even though they haven't ever met him, or at least some. Like they feel connection to him because we kind of see he's one of these competitors that we kind of grew up with. He started Ninja Warrior, and he was even on a free running show, Jump Street Seattle, when he was like I think 18, right? Part of his free running crew. That. Yeah, it's a really cool show if you ever go back. It was on G4. And, you know, we've seen him grow up into an adult for a long time, and it's so heartbreaking knowing that this stuff was happening behind the scenes. And as somebody I know personally, like 3 people I grew up that dealt with similar situations with sexual abuse and everything, it just really broke my heart because that's really hard to go through personally and mentally, you know, and everything. But it's so much more to even talk about it, especially in such an open big platform as American Ninja Warrior. That showed so much bravery on his part, and I just really commend him for that.
Yeah, it's so intense. I don't even know what to say about it. I had no idea, obviously, but
yeah, it was quite the reveal. Flip's got such a huge younger fan base. I think it's really important for his message to get out there, and that he can act in that way, you know, be that, let them know that it's, you know, to come forward. I think he is a perfect representation of you know, wearing your heart on your sleeve and being open and just inspiring young kids.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think being in that kind of situation as a kid, I'm sure it takes a huge toll on your confidence, but a kid who sees that he was in that same situation and looks up to him for obvious reasons, I can see that being so incredibly inspiring to be like, oh my gosh, my hero went through this too. And
yeah, it's incredibly humanizing, and it's interesting because in America, it's almost like such a taboo topic that a lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about, right? But it's such an important topic to talk about, and I like the fact that they presented this on a show that's predominantly very family oriented, where children can understand hey, this stuff happens. And it's okay to talk about it if any of these things ever happen to you or if it's ever presented. There are people to talk to. It's such an important thing, and I'm really glad that there's somebody just bringing it up and talking about it. From personal experience, it's very, very hard to talk about, especially at a young age. So I'm really glad that, he presented it. And, I feel so terrible that it happened to him, but I'm so glad that he's, being kind of like the spokesperson or the person, just presenting that this happened and, I'm okay, I did all right. And, there are people to talk to. That's really cool.
You can still come back and be a hero after going through this kind of experience.
Yeah. And I think he's going to be so much bigger after this. Just such a great guy. I've never met him, but just everything, seeing him from all these years, just everything about him I love.
Yeah, and I mean, the more you get to know him, the better of a person he is. I mean, I don't think I got any sense of how great of a person he is until I hung out with him.
Yeah, and I just must say, I love his tadpoles. His commitment to all the kids and everything, I love that.
I feel like we've gotten to know him so much better from the specials they did on him this year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anything else you wanted to say, Rich, or talk about anybody else?
Actually, I wanted to throw a quick shout out to Gabe Hurtado.
Yeah, Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe listens to the podcast. He's been featured as one of our video of the week. I was looking forward to seeing him in the qualifier, and they ended up skipping him. So I've been messaging with him. So it was really exciting to see him. It's awful that he had a house fire.
That was an intense story. I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah, I didn't either, right? But man, I'm just happy that he got his time to shine at least a little bit on the show. And man, I love his family. They are so just awesome. I really like just seeing family that is so enthusiastic about the person running. That was cute.
Mm-hmm. He's always a solid competitor at all the local competitions. So I love when, the people who are consistently doing well also do well on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what got our attention. Was he was so strong. We couldn't believe watching him in some of the local competitions. We thought, well, where is this guy? Is he going to do well on the show? And when we found out he got on, it was just exciting to see him there.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. But let's get into the other person that finished, right? Josh Levin, because I have a lot to say about this guy.
The only person that finished.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking about the wedge, but yeah, the only person that finished the course. Josh Levin, this guy completely blew me away. This guy, I really think, has a really good shot of being really huge. He reminds me a lot of Yusuke Morimoto, the guy, the young kid that completed Sasuke 31. He reminds me a lot of this guy in the fact that he's young, he's super athletic, he has a lot of accolades that fit really well for the sport. But not just that, for years and years, in his childhood, he was a fan of the show, diehard fan, and he was training these obstacles. So technically he's going to be really profound. I am incredibly high up on this kid. I think he's going to go really, really far.
Yeah, I mean, he's proven himself just the same way that Nicholas Coolidge did last year, right? Having a field full of people that have been doing this for a while, and to be that rookie and to come out of nowhere and win the whole thing, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's kind of like this year's Daniel Gill, right?
Yeah.
No, he's this year's Nicholas Coolidge. I just said Nicholas Coolidge.
That's true. He's pretty much in Nicholas's exact situation as last year.
He's Nicholas Coolidge, but I don't know. They're skipping Nicholas Coolidge. It's killing me.
Also, a brilliant engineering student.
Oh yeah, super smart. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. I still say that studying physics is a huge advantage on Ninja Warrior. Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anything else to say about Josh Levin? I mean, I was really impressed by his grip strength.
He can do one-arm pull-ups on cowbells.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
That blows my mind so much that can't stop thinking about one-arm pull-ups on cowbells. I can do only like 3 pull-ups on 2 cowbells before my grip just peels off.
Yeah, I've never tried that, but that sounds excruciating. Like, I'm good on that.
I think I remember seeing Jeff Britton trying to do that in the fall. I don't know if he ever got it down or not.
My understanding is that Jeff Britton issued a challenge because he was working on it, and Josh Levin was the one who answered the challenge and was like, "Yep, I got it."
Just blew him away.
So, Jessie, actually, you and Josh were on Wolfpack Ninja podcast, weren't you?
Yeah, we weren't there at the same time.
Okay, I haven't listened to it yet. I just saw that. I went to check because I was like, I know Josh's name. I remember hearing it, and it was because he was the upcoming guest, and then I just noticed your name was on there, too.
Yeah, they're really high up on him, too. So.
He was out there training with them a couple weeks ago. But, there's a bond there. They're all big rock climbers. And
so anything else you guys want to cover in terms of that? Or should we get down to these topics?
I think we should have a quick commercial break, and then we'll get to the other topics, including the crashing the course in 24x4. You ever wake up and feel like you can take on the world? You get the adrenaline pumping, and you wish you could just jump onto an obstacle course immediately and start crushing it? Yeah, I have no idea what that feels like. But I know some of you do, and I want to help you out. NinjaWarriorBlueprints.com. Even if you're lucky enough to have a ninja gym in your town or city, you have to deal with traffic, wait your turn for the equipment, and pass by at least 3 McDonald's on the way. Who has that kind of willpower? Building your own gym in your backyard is a long-standing tradition of American Ninja Warrior and doesn't have to break the bank or even take up a lot of room in your backyard. NinjaWarriorBlueprints.com has it all figured out for you, including the blueprints, exact materials list, and time-saving instructions. They'll even send you free instructions on how to build your own salmon ladder, so go check them out. You've literally got nothing to lose. And if you enter our discount code of armchair, you can save 10% off your purchase. And we're back. I kind of miss doing the commercials, I have to say.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So looking at crashing the course, we had the wedge was actually one of the biggest features, of course, because it was the big obstacle this year. They said they had a 50% failure rate in testing and darn near 100% failure rate in practice. So it was interesting to see the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, this one was a little interesting just because the wedge was such a major part of the episode. When looking back when they showed everybody failing and then the people that succeeded, once again, everybody that failed, they had their hands forwards, where the people that succeeded, the 3 people they showed, they were doing the mixed grip. So I think that played a major part in that. However, just so people know, Josh Levin, he actually did the front-facing grip when he finished. And I think the key for him, which was interesting, is he kept up, but he didn't kick backwards when he did it. And so maybe the whole kick backwards will make plays a part in it spinning out of your hands. So that was also interesting. And plus, the guy probably has grip strength like crazy, right? So I was able to hold on. But I think maybe another way of going about it is just not kicking back as much and just kipping up, if you can do it. Obviously, it's a major, major big transition to do. But if you can do it, maybe that plays a part in it as well.
Yeah, thankfully they didn't keep in the separate walls that it was in the original design, because can you imagine?
Boy. Dude, there's no way somebody can do that. Like, I was like that, I'm like, you're insane. Like, who's going to be able to do that?
What evil genius came up with that? That is just not going to happen.
Yeah. I'm glad they changed that up, but the evil part of me was like, that looks crazy. I kind of want to see somebody try it.
I got to ask you, did you know who Burke and David Charvet were? The two people at the end of the video?
Not really. I mean, I've seen the lady before, but I couldn't tell you from where. But yeah, I liked more of the guy clearly wasn't prepared to do that obstacle, and his family goaded him into doing it. He's like, I guess. I felt so bad for the guy.
But he did it. He did a good job. So I liked when in the interview afterwards, when the kid's just going, yeah. I was like, did you think your dad did a good job? Yeah. Do you think are you going to enjoy the show? Yeah. Like, it's just yeah for everything. I love that they left that in.
Yeah. Sometimes kids can get like, they're kind of done with the person, like the adult talking to them. And they're like, yeah, moving on, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Just, okay, can I go now? And they took another chance to pimp the obstacle design challenge, which I don't know. Man, I wish I could come up with something. I think that's such a cool idea.
It's a good idea, but I could not participate in that because my brain shuts down trying to think of a cool obstacle. I think compared to the ones they have, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, they got teams of professionals come up with the ones that are there. So all those inventive people we've seen building obstacles for the National Ninja League and everything else, I'm hoping they're submitting stuff that we've seen.
Yeah, they probably are. But, yeah, going on to the next one, though, the Grant McCartney 24 Before, I mean, I actually found this quite fun.
I mean, that's not surprising, though, right? Grant's really funny and really interesting to watch, so it was... I knew his video. As soon as I saw it was him, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be fun to watch at least.
Yeah, I really like the part where they went to Arnold Hernandez's, kind of house / gym, and just showed the camaraderie that they have with all the ninjas, and them just getting like a short workout, but everybody just like it kind of just like saw them hanging out. It's just cool seeing that general vibe of everybody just so excited and preparing for the show.
Showing Arnold Hernandez's house for that last minute training, it seems to be a thing that they all do. Like they don't necessarily go all out, but they just go and kind of almost like warm up like that day of, just to kind of get the feel of doing a course, in the city that they've arrived at.
Yeah, it's important, man. And another part I really liked is Grant McCartney kind of just showing just the nervousness involved right before the run. And that was a major part for me because, Grant McCartney, he's more of the carefree type. You wouldn't expect him to get super nervous, but it was really cool seeing just on his face, him playing with his hands and everything, just how nervous he gets. And I feel like that's such a genuine, just showing the genuine feeling of what goes through a person mentally right before this thing. And I really like the fact that he showed us that, right? And that, he dances and listens to the music just to psych himself out of that and, become prepared mentally. That's the kind of stuff that I really look for in this program, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he dances ahead of time to work out the nerves. It's like, well, you dance on the course. What's the I guess you're working your nerves out the whole way through. Yeah, but it was really cool. I actually, rewinding to the first of the video, he had like a lot of pairs of shoes in there. Or was that just me? Like, it seemed like he had 12 pairs of shoes to sort through.
Yeah, but there are some people that really enjoy shoes, and he is a skateboarder. So the number one type of sponsors that you get when it comes to skateboarding are shoes. So maybe a lot of those shoes are sponsored.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Did you know he was a skateboarder? Did I just forget that along the way?
No, I had no clue. It made perfect sense. As soon as I saw him on it, I'm like, that makes total sense. But I didn't see that coming. I was actually expecting him to be more of like a surfer or something. But skateboarder, perfect sense.
Yeah, sponsored skateboarder for 10 years. Yeah, that seems relevant. Maybe more so than the fact that he works for an airline for the last 3.
Right?
Yeah. It's funny what they choose as the story, but whatever works. Jessie's like demolishing the place or something there. I'm not sure what's going on. Is everything okay there?
Yeah.
Just hear thump, thump.
Bang. Beep.
Just running more sprints in the house.
Okay, so let's shoot it over to one of the questions that we've gotten. We had so many sent in.
Yeah, first of all, thank you everybody on Reddit, Twitter, everybody that hit me up, even on Instagram. It's really cool. We got 2 questions more than any other question, like just multiple people asking these same 2 questions. So I'm going to shoot these out to you first, Jessie.
That sounds logical.
Yeah, the first one, a lot of people are wondering, are you interested in ever competing in Sasuke? The Japanese version.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. I think everybody just really wants you to go on that course and just demolish it. A lot of people think like you really have the capabilities of going really far on that. So, are you interested in going maybe next year if they offer it to you?
I'm interested in going right now.
That's awesome. I can actually see you going quite far in Sasuke. Like, I could see you obviously in American Ninja Warrior, but Sasuke, I'm really interested because we talked about it last week that their course is a lot more lower body focus, whereas American Ninja Warrior is upper body focus, and I think you'll do really well with those types of obstacles.
I thought it was the opposite.
Well, the first stage is definitely really lower bass. The later stages can be upper bass. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought stage 1 and stage 2, from what I heard about this year, were maybe a little bit more doable, while stage 3 is probably less doable.
Yeah, you got that about right.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah, stage 3 is pretty brutal, especially their new form of the cliffhanger. We are just losing our minds on that.
Right, doesn't it end in a vertical limit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just that, like the cliffhanger, like they have a part where it moves up and down and all this other stuff. Like it's crazy this year.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really cool and exciting to look at, but I'm like, I have no idea how anybody could do this. But Drew Drushel got really, really far on that thing.
Yeah. Wasn't it right on the vertical limit that he went out?
Yeah, he got the furthest more than anybody else.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. So the other question I keep getting, and this is more of a fun one, is were you ever given the chance to, go for the role of Wonder Woman in the upcoming movie? I don't know why, but everybody's asking that.
No. No, I used to have a theatrical agent, and she moved to Texas and dropped the theatrical department, so I have a commercial agent, but not theatrical. So, gotcha. But I have a lot of minor acting credits, and I think I have to build a little bit more of a resume with bigger parts before I'm going to start getting offered auditions for like starring in a superhero movie. But I mean, I would jump at the opportunity for sure. I did have an audition to be the stunt double, and they ended up going with I think Caitlin and Joanna or Alicia. They are very impressive stunt women and better matches for the actress than I was, but it was a really fun audition, and I'm excited to see the movie.
Yeah, I bet. You know, that was the second part of the question that I was asking is like, did you get a chance to be the stunt woman? So thanks for answering that. It was really interesting because, yeah, I think so many people really like the costume that you've gotten this year in the past few years of the Wonder Woman, and you truly have kind of embraced that role, I think, to a lot of fans, especially younger girls, I think.
Yeah, I love kind of playing that role. But I mean, you know, I wore my silly chicken outfit the first year and got such a positive response from little girls and fans that I hadn't really thought about because, you know, I was just promoting my own silly video. And it just showed me how much potential there is to inspire kids to get strong and fit and work out and have goals and aspire to be superheroes themselves just by wearing a fun outfit. And so I've been putting more thought each year into what kind of outfit is going to inspire the most kids. And I feel like I made a good choice this year. So
yeah,
I'm really happy with that one.
You inspired over 50 million people, so I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's a really good point because I read so much online, everybody talking about this 51 million, YouTube video count. And I think it's kind of like a misnomer because for everybody listening, she did have over 50 million views in her run. However, it wasn't on YouTube. I think everybody's going to YouTube trying to find that video and just questioning where are the views at. It was on Facebook from Collider. It wasn't from American Ninja Warriors, but Collider Videos, your run on there has about, I think, 53 or 54 million views currently. So that's where it's at. It did happen, everybody. Yeah.
I was like, wow, that went up a lot since yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that high. Okay, cool.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jessie. So Jessie's website is, no big surprise, jessiegraff.com. Make sure you check out her podcast, Super Women, which features some of the most amazing women in the world, including stunt woman and ninja legend Lucy Romberg, Spartan Maggie Thorne, and world record gymnast Jennifer Hansen. All of her social media handles are Jessie Graff, PWR. That's JessieGraff, All of it is accessible via her website. That's jessiegraff.com. She was an amazing guest, an amazing woman, and we've been fanboying over her for almost a year now, and she's every bit as nice as you'd imagine. So that is it for this week. Thank you very much to Jessie once again for being with us. I hope you all enjoyed it. And thank you to NinjaWarriorBlueprints.com for sponsoring the next few episodes. That's going to be lots of fun to do some more commercials. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at ninjapodcast.com. You can email me at rich@ninjapodcast.com. Or reach us to us on Twitter or Instagram as Ninja Podcast. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up, guys, at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. Bijan 151.
So once again, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace and love, y'all.